This is the Tom Anderson Show, broadcasting live from the KVNT studios, 7 to 9 a.m., Monday through Friday.
Well, we are back. Dave Bronson joins us, the mayor of the great municipality of Anchorage. And Mayor Bronson, lots of things going on. Thanks for joining us. How are you this morning?
All is well, Tom. Thanks for having me on.
Hey, absolutely. Well, first, we had the Municipal League. We just read and played a report on that, and I heard that you guys gave a great presentation on the port, and that was what? So everybody pretty much understands the progress there?
Right, yeah. The port is probably the single biggest structural problem that we're facing. It's about a $1.2 billion project. We've gone, the Assembly has approved we've gone to the Assembly for a $165 million bond, and then we're asking for $250 million from the legislature, and then we're asking for $750 million plus from the federal government. And we're hoping some of this transportation and stuff that's coming out here through the Biden administration will get that money and get this port moving, because it's stalled right now.
Yeah, and that's a big deal. I know that was one of your campaign promises, and it's nice to see you delivering to really push that infrastructure and modernization and continue to keep us on the map globally, because it's a big deal for economics for Anchorage and the state. Another thing this week, the big deal, you vetoed 2 ordinances passed by the Anchorage Assembly, code changes last week, and one changes the code to formally designate control over Assembly meeting spaces to the Assembly chair, and that one we can get into, but I side with you that you're the executive and you run all the buildings, and it would make sense that your team's in charge. I don't know why the Assembly and the legislature would think they are the legislative body, but you can answer that one. The other one changes the executive appointment process and brings the mayor's appointees to the Assembly for confirmation much quicker. That's what ADN says. Let's talk first about the meeting spaces. I mean, you had said at one point it's kind of like a power grab. I would side with you. I think most of our listeners would as well. Is that just politics, the mainstay of politics, with them trying to get more power and oversight and undermine your ability to do such?
Well, I think the thing to remember here when you're looking at the process over the last few months on this, if these two things were such a great idea, why didn't they do them under, say, the Berkowitz administration? So what they are is, I believe only Pete Peterson is the only Assembly member who's ever served under an administration, or served with, I should say, an administration that doesn't agree completely with them. I came in, my administration has a different direction for how the city needs to go and how it needs to operate. And quite frankly, I think they're a bit mortified by that, and they don't understand. They've been effectively running the city for 5 or 6 years, and all of a sudden now they've got an administration that doesn't want to go their way. So they're looking at the levers that they think they can pull to change the mechanisms of political power, and what they're reaching for in these two, in AO 113 and AO 92, is quite frankly, it's illegal. They can't do it. The charter is quite clear. I think your listeners need to understand our charter is our Constitution, and then the code is our laws. So it kind of mirrors the state and federal. Well, they're making constitutional changes from the legislative branch of government to take authority away from the executive branch. Well, our founders, they understood how things need to be organized, and now these folks are changing it. Like I say, if it was such a good idea, why didn't they do it a year ago or 3 years ago?
Sure.
And they didn't. So,
looking at the code change, I'm reading from ADN, and executive appointments requires that the mayor to submit appointees for assembly confirmation within 60 days of their hire. Previously, mayors could wait up to 6 months before submitting an appointee for assembly approval. Assembly says, hey, let's expedite that. Sounds like you're saying, first, you've never pushed that before in the last 10, 20, 30 years. And secondly, I may want to delay or look or continue to research, and I don't want to expedite to 60 days like under Knowles and Fink and Begich and Eastman Quinn and Berkowitz and Sullivan and on and on. I want to keep it the way it is. I mean, that makes sense to me. So would you say, I know you can't read their minds, but I have friends in the same circles you do. They say it's purely political posturing. It sounds like you're saying, I don't care what the agenda or motive is, I'm vetoing it, and they'll have to override that if they want to get that through.
Right. I mean, you summarized it very well. They're just trying to do something that they can't do, and you got to remember there's going to be 100 mayors after me, and my job is in part is to protect this office and the authority of the governing process, or the sanctity of the governing process in the city, and to adhere to charter. And they're seeking to change that, again, illegally, and we're going to fight them. I have to protect this office for everyone who comes after me, not just myself. And I think it's pretty short-sighted. They kind of started this process on September 14th when they laid this on the table, and we were, quite frankly, rather shocked that they were willing to take control of the management of the municipal buildings. When they call a meeting, they could literally call a meeting anywhere in the city, and then they, according to the original ordinance, they could take control of the building and the offices and the support staff that surround those buildings, or that surround that facility. Well, and Austin Quinn Davidson said it the other night. She says, well, when we pass this, we're in control of, from the assembly chamber, she said, we're in control of this building. That means that they take over the entire Luzak Library building and the administration therein. I don't see how they don't understand within their language that they're taking that. And they'll say, well, we don't intend that. Well, then craft your language so there's no room for doubt. But they didn't. They know what they're doing. They could literally come up into the mayor's conference room, which is commonly used by the assembly for various meetings. I have no trouble with that. They just schedule and they use it. I don't care. But the moment they do that under this ordinance, they can come in and take control of the adjoining offices, which is my office. And so anyways, they're pushing that, and we're going to fight it. They went nuclear on us, and I can't sit here and just allow this kind of change to the charter, and it's a violation of state law as well, Section 29 of state law. And we expressed that in my veto, and they were told from day one by the entire legal department here within the municipality, which is there's a lot of liberal lawyers in that department, and they said they can't do this. So, and then here a few weeks ago, they budgeted themselves $50,000 to give to their former muni manager, who's a lawyer, Bill Falsey, and so they're going to pay him $50,000 to fight the municipality on this. I don't know. It's a pretty messed up process right now, and my job is to defend the charter. I took an oath to do that.
A compliment I hear of you, Mayor Dave Bronson, we're talking with head honcho of the municipality of Anchorage, is that you get along with your counterparts in other mayoral administrations. Charlie Pierce on the Kenai Peninsula, Edna Bell DeVries, now the mayor of Mat-Su-Borough, who I know you are friends of and supportive. Glenda Ledford, the mayor now of Wasilla, took Bert Gottle's spot. Is that important to you to work with these folks across regional lines?
Oh, most certainly. I've known Edna for many years, Edna Knoll. And then I've stayed at Charlie Pierce's house. Charlie is a friend. We talk probably weekly. He and I are of like mind on the major policy issues. He has a different set of challenges down there, but I learned from him. He's quite the powerhouse. I really admire him as well as Edna. So, I think there's a sea change that's taking place politically in the state now, where we are where people are coming to their senses, and I think they believe that this leftist trend has got to be reversed. And
I love it. So what I'm hearing you saying, Mayor Dave Bronson, is saying there is hope, ladies and gentlemen. Mayor Bronson, keep up the good work, brother. We will be in touch and hope to hear from you soon again.
Great. Thanks, Tom. Really appreciate it.
You betcha. Mayor Dave Bronson of the great municipality of Anchorage. It's the Tom Anderson Show. Good morning.